It's Big Tone, the CEO from Kiss 107.1, simply the best R&B. I have the pleasure of speaking with the one and only R&B star, Danny
Wow.
Boy. Danny Boy, what's going on, sir?
What's up, Big Tom? How you doing, man? Pleasure meeting you. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you for having me on.
oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. I just got to say something, man. This song is the bomb. We have it, man, when I tell you we have it in heavy rotation every single day, and your fans are calling for it. Just
Amazing. I can't wait to come to Saginaw, man. It's gonna be my first time, so I'm excited about that.
It's funny you say that because one of your fans named Kelly, she was like, make sure you ask Danny Boy if and when he's coming to Saginaw. And
I'm
she said,
definitely coming too. I'm from Chicago, so that's right around the corner. So we got to make that happen quick.
oh, most definitely. You got a time frame in mind or anything?
Man, we're gonna do that soon. We're out actually on promo tour right now. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, getting ready for a show tonight. Happy birthday to the King of Rap. So we're gonna celebrate him tonight and present my album here in
Absolutely.
Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm
Absolutely. Well,
excited.
all right, well, we're excited too.
Yes,
Speaking
sir.
of your album, Black Heart, it is a banger, like you said, a return to classic R&B. Can you tell us about why it was so important for you to return back to classic R&B?
Oh man, first of all, I signed to Death Row when I was 15, for those that don't know. So this is really big to me to have the opportunity 25, 26 years later to do what I so love doing. I just love singing, man, and I've always wanted an album. It's incredible to have had the opportunity to sing with Tupac and do the hooks, but any singer and every singer wants to do a song of their own. And to get that recognition, at a time like this, man, I'm so excited. I'm just laying in the glory of it.
I definitely want to get into your Death Row days and you working with Pac, but first I want to concentrate on this album, man. When I tell you it
What?
is on fire, it is on fire. It is
Yo,
on
you
fire.
heard the record. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm absolutely. Like I said, I was a fan even before I knew that you were going to be on the
Bro,
show. So again, it's
man,
my
that is
honor and privilege to talk to you.
that's a blessing.
Regarding
I don't take
Black
it for granted.
Heart, what was your inspiration behind your project?
Love, strictly love. I released it on Valentine's Day,
Yes, you
and
did.
a lot of people were saying, it's a black heart. You know what I mean? That's something that seems like it's dark and it doesn't seem friendly. And to me, I enjoy explaining what black heart means to me. First, black heart is something that I think, especially our culture, need to get back to, which is black love.
Yes, sir.
Period. Point blank. We got to learn how to start loving on each other. And the black heart emoji when I was putting the record together, all I could think of was the red emoji. How everybody explained love with the red heart,
Right.
right? That's when everything is going good. The blood is pumping. It's red. Black. It does seem like it's something cloudy. What that means is we put together a compilation of songs that have explained that when it's a cloudy time, when things ain't going good, when how do we get back to love? Like a lot of people in relationships, we fall out and stop talking to our cousins for years. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? You just need that one thing, and sometimes it's either sickness or death that usually pull us together, man. So I'm hoping to be a beacon that we got some music on this album out of these 14 songs that a person can be like, man, I'm going through it. My friend, I'm in love with my friend, but she did friend zone me, so I got a song called
Right.
Just Friends. You know what I
All
mean? And
right.
then I got a song, what I consider myself being different, because people know that in some of the interviews I kind of say anything. I'm different. Everything about me is different. I don't want to be the same. So to find somebody that can love me in my difference is amazing. So I'm just excited about this song. 14 songs on the album, interlude, and we at the first single, and I'm getting so much love. So I can't wait for the world to hear the whole album.
Absolutely. Well, you said there were 14 songs. Off the 14 different songs, Danny, what's your favorite song?
Oh my God. So I think my favorite song, it keeps switching. My favorite song right now is Crazy. There's a song called Crazy, and I think that's gonna be the next single. So I'm hoping everybody kind of go listen to the album and be like, nah, this one or this one, give me a lead on it. But Crazy is my favorite.
Absolutely. 14 different songs. Can you tell about who you may have collaborated with, whether it was writing or producing? Who contributed to your project?
Well, a lot of independent writers and
Mhm.
the producer out of Chicago. Shout out to him. His name is Toxic.
Okay.
He's a Chicago producer, but he's produced a lot of artists such as Cardi B, Keisha Cole. He's done a lot of artists, and he got in the game doing songs for Twista. So to get
Okay.
with somebody that's from my hometown, We waited for years to work. He had always saying, let's work. And then to get in the studio and it organically come together is amazing. But
Fans,
Toxic and his team, Church Boy, D.
Church Boy.
Lyles, they're all upcoming writers and musicians and singers as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Like I said, that album is smoking. This song, I play it so much in my car. Some of my friends like, "Can you play something else?" I'm like, man, but I'm telling you, this song is it. This song is most definitely it. So, did you purposely release your project on Valentine's Day? Because you're speaking about love. Was that intentional?
It is. All the time I try to do something. You know, I'm a restaurateur. You know, in the different businesses that I do, I always try to pick a date. You know what I mean? That means something, at least to me or to other people. So I think Valentine's Day, the day that we just set aside for love, I think that was a day to put a pin, on it, to put a marker there, to park right there, to get people to recognize it that day. But hopefully we learn, you know, from this album, and you know, in the days to come, man, love live beyond Valentine's Day. Love live beyond February the 14th.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want to get off your album for a second, but you piqued my curiosity. You mentioned businesses and you're a restaurateur. You mean you got all that talent behind the mic and you also have some culinary skills? Tell us about the restaurant. Tell us about it.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. It's called Old Danny Boys. It's my brand. And it's a kiss of culture. I model my food after either philanthropists or artists or entertainers that I've worked with. So you can come by and get a Tupac burger.
Yes,
or
sir.
Some Anita Baker beans, or some bacon cheddar Snoop Dogg, and then some Al Greens as well. So I named some of the foods after artists, and I'm excited. I love the cooking industry. I model myself as the singing chef. So when I'm back there behind the stove, you're gonna come in and you're gonna definitely hear me sing a song or two.
Now you mentioned the singing chef. You also call yourself the preacher of R&B, correct?
Oh yes, sir. I am the preacher of R&B. Yes, sir.
All right. And is love your testimony, or does it go deeper than that?
So the preacher of R&B for me, it actually go back to when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Where I knew then that I had a calling on my life. You know what I mean? I know that God is deep in my life. I'm deeply rooted into Christ. And that's a piece of my movement. I never try to lose that, and there has been times that I didn't say anything about it. But being an adult, you know, I promise God that every opportunity that He give me to pick up an apparatus to sing through, that I'll use that moment to say something about Him. I don't have to be in church. We don't have to be in the middle of church. We don't have to be in a revival. We don't have to be in those things to give honor. You know, and I learned that through the struggles and the trials of my life. So wherever I am, God is with me. And I sing R&B, so I might as well call myself the preacher of R&B. And when I get that opportunity, if I could say just one thing to get somebody closer to Him, that's what I'll do.
Amen. Well, you know what? You said something else again that piqued my curiosity. One, you got on death row when you were 15, but you said you knew at a very young age you had a calling on your life. You know, it's a lot of young brothers and sisters that are young, and they have a calling on their life, or they're unsure, they don't have that support. How can someone recognize that inner calling, and how can they stay focused on that calling?
Well, I guess I got to be honest. There's a lot of young people that don't know. But what I also learned is that there's a lot of us that live old and get into our older years and still haven't found our purpose, and still haven't found, you know, what it takes to move forward. You know what I mean? So I pray that we all get an opportunity to find out what the gift is. All of us have a gift. It's like on Christmas morning. And if you could be a family of 12 and your mama got 12 kids and you're the 12th sibling.
Right.
Everybody got a gift.
Everybody
get a gift. We all get something. The big brother may get some socks and you may get a tie, but God equips us all with something. That's what I believe. And once we find out what that gift is, I just learned, you know, through my trials out of being on Death Row Records and where I am now in my career, life ain't easy. I've been around the richest, and I've also slept where poor people sleep. And I've done it, you know, in recent times. So, you know, we just have to kind of tap into our gifts. I found that in the Bible, don't mean to sound so spiritual, but I got to share it when I can. And the Bible says that our gift shall make room for us. That means that He already gave us something and equipped us with something to get us paid. He equipped us with something to keep us eating, to keep us in the game.
All right, preacher. I like that. 15 years old, signed to Death Row Records. At 15 years old, we're trying to figure out how we're going to get lunch money. How does a 15-year-old get signed with one of the biggest labels out at the time? I mean, you guys made history.
Wow, man. I speak about this in my book called Stranded on Death Row. It's available on all platforms as well. Just sharing my musical and life journey. And I was with an independent company out of Chicago. We were looking for a deal, and I was there to meet with like Motown and Warner Brothers and the other labels, the
Yes,
bigger
sir.
labels. And we just happened to stop by Interscope Records, and Suge came in. I sang for him, and from that day on, I became a part of Death Row, the history of Death Row. And at that time, we considered Death Row the Motown of the 90s. So I thought at
Absolutely.
that time it was a great move.
Absolutely. Now, Death Row is both famous and infamous at the same
Yes.
time. Let's focus on the famous part. What was one of the most memorable events that you can remember when you were signed to Death Row? Was it working with someone? Was it going on tour? What was the one thing that you think will always stick with you about your time at Death Row?
Something that always stick with me, and I try to stick it there because definitely in the demise of Death Row, there were sad moments. I had
Yes.
to go back to doing things that I wasn't used to. I had to get back used to, get back acclimated to. But one of the things that stick out the most, Mother's Day every year when Suge Knight fed 1,000 single mothers that was from the surrounding areas, bought them to Beverly Hills from Compton, Long Beach, Inglewood, bought them in first class cars, fed them and their families, single mothers for Mother's Day. We would go in and perform with the Isleys. You know, one year was the Isleys, one year was Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, and I mean every year it got better and better. And I think from seeing that, I could remember a lot of bad moments and a lot of things that probably the media have seen coming from Death Row. But that's one that I live with. It was amazing to see the give back that Suge had in the beginning, making sure that our people was good and loving on them. And out of the years, I still talk to some of those people that remember me since I was 15 years old when I sang at those events. So those were some memories and some moments that I always live with.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing that because, as you know, a lot of time when Death Row Records or any of the artists made the news, it was always about something negative. And to hear
Yes, it
about
was.
something like that, like my mind is blown because I never heard anything about that.
Yes, man. Yeah, it was all the time, man. And just like anybody else, I think, it's always good for us to search and see for ourselves. The media, some medias are just set up to kind of to sell just what it is, to sell a magazine, to get people to click that button. It's clickbait. It was
Clickbait.
clickbait then. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie and play like Death Row was just, it wasn't Death Row Missionary Baptist Church. It was Death Row
Right.
Records, just what it was. And I just call it myself. The things that I got from it, I'm grateful. But I tell everybody it was Death Row University for me, where I had an opportunity to learn, live in it, and get an opportunity to use what I learned right now.
Fantastic. And let me ask you this question because, again, Death Row sometimes had a negative stigma.
Yeah.
Once the demise of Death Row, so to speak, and then you began to continue on with your degree, did you find the fact that you had been associated or signed to Death Row, was that a hindrance or did it help you?
Oh, I was blackballed for a long time. A lot of doors were closed, just because I was adopted by Suge Knight when I was younger. So
Okay.
even in the time that I was still singing, things that I didn't do, it wasn't like I used drugs and I lost the deal, or I just blew all my money. I was just young, and I had signed to the label, and a lot of people were scared to deal with me. And for a while that it bothered me for years, where music was bitter for me. But
Right.
even throughout all of the jobs that I was able to get throughout it, I thank God that He left me with the gift. It go right back to the gift, man. I became a painter when I was painting jobs, and I said I'm not gonna sing anymore. No matter every time I rolled that brush, I would still be referenced to the singing painter. I started working at a funeral home. Oh, that's the funeral home guy. I never got that's the funeral home guy. Oh, that's the dude that sing at the funeral home. You know what I mean? So it's like I was always able for the gift to be presented in front of me. I was always reminded what the gift is and what it was, and I'm always able to run back to that, and I'm grateful for that.
Fantastic. Now, we talked about you being a restaurateur. Now you mentioned that you're a painter and you're an author.
Yeah, man.
You do everything. Is there anything that Danny Boy can't do?
Hey, man, I tried all thanks to YouTube. Man, I think YouTube make me think I can do anything. I'm just I try to keep it moving. My godmama called me a maverick. You know what I mean? I keep it moving, man. If I believe it and it's something that I want to do, I want to do it. After leaving Death Row Records, I became an apprentice at a funeral home, and I was embalming, and I would pull up sometimes in a hearse, a hearse sometimes, and people would see me, they'd be like, Danny boy, what you doing in the, like what you doing in the hearse? And I say death row and pull off on them. But but those, I thank God for those moments. Every paintbrush that I picked up, every bucket that I had to dip those brushes in, every funeral that I was able to be a part of, it humbled me. It keeps me humble. It make me appreciate life so much. I appreciate what we have. And you read in my book, my mother had 7 strokes when she was pregnant with me, and she was once a singer.
Wow.
But I only heard her speech impediment voice. So for me to be able to carry the singing part, this is my mother living in me. And I must do everything that I can to make sure that I'm a great beacon of that. And even my words, I used to sing certain songs. I try to be careful of what passed through my lips because I know people are listening. And now that I have everybody's attention, I am so grateful for them to be listening to this song. I thank the producers and the writers on it. It's such a great song to give back to the people. This song is for dancing. Let's get back to that. This song is for making sweet love to you, getting back to the park, having a good time, loving on the person that you with, going on dates. Those are the things that we need in a generation like today.
Well, why do you think that things went left with R&B music? Because there was a change. It got away from classic R&B. What do you think caused that shift? And before you tell us, thank you for bringing classic R&B back.
Thank you. I think what happened, it became more of a school thing. What do I mean by that? A lot of people get into these positions and they learn to be a promoter, or they go to school to be an A&R or a director over a marketing company. So, when there's people up at the billboard office, I would imagine, or people that's picking awards, these are normal people. So when I listen to them and they say, this rapper is #1 and, Tupac is #5, I know that this is a person that's far away from hip hop and don't understand who Tupac is. So There's no sense for me to dig deep. You know what I mean? We pick what we want and we'll say it. To me, Tupac is the #1 rapper. You know what I mean? And people kind of lay on what they hear. And we just got to set a different narrative. That's all.
Understood. Well, I was blessed with the opportunity to meet Tupac once in Atlanta during the Freaknik, and
oh
yeah, we'll talk about that later. But it was an amazing weekend, to say the very least. You had the opportunity not just to work with him, but to be a contributor to 2 of his largest hits ever.
Absolutely.
My question to you is this: with him finally getting awarded a walk on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, what did that mean to you, given your history with Tupac and the history you guys made?
Again, happy birthday to Tupac.
Happy birthday.
Oh my God, man. This month has been amazing. It's his birthday. We're living in 50 years of hip hop, celebrating hip hop. I was introduced to hip hop through Death Row Records. So that's what hip hop means to me. That's my birth of hip hop. But to be able to work alongside of Tupac and see the stuff that he's done, I don't think he know. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say he didn't know, because I believe that some of the things were prophetic. I think he knew exactly what his mission was. And I just want to say, well accomplished mission. The goal was met. He did exactly what needed to be done. And I think that his star should have been on the ground out there years ago. But right now, it couldn't have happened no better than around his birthday. 50 years of hip hop. We'll always remember that. 50 years from now, we'll be like, when 50 years of hip hop came, they put a star down for Tupac, and it meant so much to me. I was in the middle of on my promo tour for my album Black Heart, the revival of R&B, and I stopped there and I made sure that I was standing on the front line. I wasn't even on the list, but God made sure that we got behind the gate and on the red carpet so that I could represent and be right there standing and salute the king of rap, the dude that deserved the star on it. His star probably should be digital, because there's so many things to explain. There's so many things to explain who Tupac was and what he left on our culture. So it was an amazing thing, and I was blessed to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, again, like you said, happy birthday to Tupac. And speaking of kings, I understand that you've also worked with one of the kings in R&B, Babyface. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. My first single with Babyface was done on it was actually my second single off of the Gridlock soundtrack. It was written and produced by Reggie, a guy named Reggie, and Babyface wrote the song. And to go in the studio, I was hoarse. Didn't think I would be able to get through the song. I thought I was going to listen to the song. And I think that was my first time getting professionally checked in the studio. When I told Babyface, I was like, yeah, I'm a little hoarse, so I'm gonna do what I can, and then I'll come back. And he was like, no, we don't do hoarse. Go in the studio and get this song down. So I had to clear my throat and record It's Over Now.
Now,
And
I
to
mean,
get that from him, man, you couldn't pay for that.
now you hit the chord with me, which you said that you got checked in the studio. You know, a lot of days when you're speaking to the younger folks, they take offense when older people are trying to help them and guide them.
Yes.
What would you say to that young person who's receiving a message from an older person and they're resistant? What would you say to that young person about being open to receiving guidance from someone older?
You know, I agree with you, Tony, that it's very hard to, some young people just go kind of against it to make them believe it, man. But surround yourself around some wisdom is the first thing that I would say. I was just blessed. My daddy was born December the 25th, 1926. He was born the same day as Jesus. I think they went to high school together, somewhere in between. But
Right.
my daddy was a man, being that I was able to pick some things up, even that I remember from him today. I learned how to pick up a hammer from him. I know what to do with the hammer. I know that a hammer and a nail they go together. They date. You understand? I also understand that I didn't understand why my daddy would sometimes dress in a 19-piece suit and be just as clean. And then sometimes I would catch him hanging around a trash can with the homeless people drinking beer. So
Yes,
you
sir.
have to open yourself up to be able to learn from anybody. Anybody can teach you.
Agreed.
Anybody can teach you something. A young person can teach you something. A homeless person, a teacher, a preacher, a pimp, a hoe. It don't matter. You just have to be
Right.
open to learn. And, especially with young people, what better person to get it from is a person that already seen it before. I think that'll settle it right there. I don't have to tell you my experience, other things that I have. Just look at the years that I've gained. And especially when it's an older person that lives somewhere around 70 years old, we
Yes,
only
sir.
promise 7 scores and 10. So that's the person you should be listening to.
Yes, sir. Well, I could keep you all day because when I tell you, you're just such a wealth of information. I just want to
Thank you,
touch
man.
back up on something. You say you got introduced to hip hop when you got to Death Row Records.
Yes.
What do you have in your repertoire? What are you listening to that might surprise some of your listeners? That's not R&B or hip hop.
What do I listen to that might surprise some of my listeners in hip hop? I don't know, man. I like all kinds of music, but all kinds of music. I'm a little, I would probably be more surprised of the music that some people are listening to more than me surprising them. Yeah, I kind of get surprised. Music has changed drastically. I try not to judge it because
Yeah.
I'm sure when Death Row was doing their music, everybody was, I remember Dolores C. Tucker trying to run over our music. So, I try to stay far away from, just because, I haven't or not familiar with a Chief Keef song, or I'm not familiar with, certain songs. I try not to judge it. Music is what it is. It's our art to be able to express ourselves, and it's a ministry. If I don't understand it, somebody does.
Yes, sir. Well, again, I don't want to keep your whole afternoon. This has been my pleasure. Before I let you go, do you have
Yeah,
social media handles that you would like to put out there so your fans can follow you on the gram or Twitter? Where can they find you on social media?
absolutely. Saginaw, I'm gonna tell y'all again. Thank y'all so much for helping me with my single. Thank you again, Tone, for as well, you and the station for blessing me in this platform. But y'all can find out more information about me. I'm always telling all my business on my Instagram, Danny Boy Stewart. You can find me. Or if you're just looking for where the next city, you want to tell me to come to the next city, you got to book me. You can just go to my website, and it's real easy. Just go dannyboy.com. Go dannyboy.com. All of my handles are there. All of my social media handles are there as well. My booking information is there. I sing at bar mitzvahs, divorce parties. It don't matter.
All right. And where can they find your book at? Is it on Amazon?
The book is called Stranded on Death Row. It's available on Amazon as well as Barnes and Noble.
All right. Well, fantastic. Danny Boy, I want to thank you again for joining us on Social Stream Live on KISS 107.1. It has been
Yes,
my
sir.
pleasure talking to you. And I just want to remind everybody that Black Heart is available right now on all platforms.
Go get it, Black
All
Heart.
right. Make sure you
Thank you
check
so
out
much.
Black Heart by Danny Boy. You will not be disappointed. For KISS 107.1, simply the best R&B. It's Big Tone, the CEO, and R&B star Danny Boy. We thank you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.